of ESPN News. Number to call up as always is 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. The Stephen A. Smith Show is being brought to you by Credit Karma. Get your truly free credit scores and free credit monitoring from Credit Karma today. That's Credit Karma, K-A-R-M-A. Get knowing. Time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. Let's get right to it. The Super Bowl is over. Super Bowl 53 is over. But the NBA trading deadline is exactly 50 hours away. 2 days and 2 hours. 3 p.m. deadline, Thursday afternoon, the NBA trading deadline will have expired. And the story of stories that has been circulating throughout this country is Anthony Davis and whether or not he is indeed going to the Los Angeles Lakers. I got news for you. Jonathan, are you looking at me? Because I have some very big news for you. Are you ready for what I'm willing to tell you right now? Anthony Davis will not be going to Boston. Anthony Davis, by this summer, because I don't believe, don't get me wrong, it's not impossible. It could happen. He could definitely still end up in L.A. this Thursday, but I don't believe it's going to happen. And I'll explain why in a second. But come July of 2019, Anthony Davis will be a Los Angeles Laker or a New York Knick. I'm going to say it again. Anthony Davis will be a Los Angeles Laker or a New York Knick. That is what I ultimately believe will happen. Now, obviously, it's one of those situations where the Pelicans would have to capitulate, and maybe that's enough to take the Knicks off the table. Here's what I mean by what I say. Those are the two destinations he wants most. He wants to be in that kind of market. Rich Paul, Clutch Sports, they want him in that kind of market. And I don't believe for 1 second, I'm sorry to tease you, New York Knicks fans, he ain't coming to New York because the New York Knicks don't have enough assets to get him to New York. Personally speaking, you got a better chance of getting Kevin Durant than you do of getting Anthony Davis because Anthony Davis, A, wants to be in L.A., and B, L.A. has more tradable assets than the New York Knicks, whereas you don't have to have assets to get Kevin Durant. He's a free agent, free to end up in New York of his own recognizance. And right now, the New York Knicks are targeting Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving as the duo to end up in New York. Are they going to pull it off? That remains to be seen. We'll get into all of that as the show progresses today. But right now, the Los Angeles Lakers are on the clock for Anthony Davis. And I got to tell you something right now. Everybody's been pointing the finger at Magic Johnson, how much pressure he's under. I'll tell you the two biggest people who are under pressure for the Los Angeles Lakers. It is Jeannie Buss if the deal doesn't get done this Thursday. And it is LeBron James if something doesn't happen this summer. And I'm not talking about Anthony Davis. I'm talking about the free agents. Kawhi Leonard, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, Kemba Walker, Jimmy Butler. I'm talking all of them. DeMarcus Cousins. I'm talking all of them. If somebody does not end up in L.A. this summer, I'm looking right at LeBron James. I'm looking right at the king. And y'all think Shuggy on Instagram has a ball with me to imitate me. You ain't talking about the series here. You think he has fun with me now. Oh, my Lord, the material he's going to have this summer if the Los Angeles Lakers and LeBron James don't get somebody to come to Tinseltown. Because that's just inexcusable. You're the best player in the world. You're a leader. You go to L.A., palm trees, sunshine, beautiful weather, Lakers law, the brand that is the Lakers. You can't get anybody to come play with you? Anybody? You can't get somebody? It's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem. But for the moment, this is not on LeBron James. And I have to say, it's on the lovely sweetheart of a woman that is Jeannie Buss. It's not Magic Johnson. First of all, let me be very, very clear. What I'm about to say, Magic Johnson would categorically probably deny. That's my friend, my brother. I love him. If Magic Johnson was sitting next to me on national television and he said opposite or contrary to what I'm about to tell you, I'd look him dead in his face and say, that's a damn lie, and you know it. Magic Johnson would not have drafted Lonzo Ball if it were not for Jeannie Buss. He can say anything he wants. He can say anything he wants. Magic Johnson would not have drafted Lonzo Ball with the number 2 overall pick if it were not for Jeannie Buss. Jeannie Buss obviously is the matriarch of the Los Angeles Lakers. She is the wonderful daughter of the late, great Dr. Jerry Buss. She is an extraordinary woman who does a great, great job stewarding the Lakers franchise. But over the course of her career, because she's been involved in a business side for quite some time, she's made 2 pivotal mistakes. 2 of them. Number 1, because she had to honor her daddy's wishes, knowing that her daddy wanted his son, Jim Buss, to run basketball operations. She capitulated to the wishes of her daddy, which is obviously forgivable because that's her daddy, and she loved him so. And this man wanted that son, who, by the way, I don't know Jim Buss from a can of paint. Had the pleasure of talking to him once, meeting him, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not trying to excoriate him as a person. I'm not trying to say he's some bad guy or he's some bad seed or he's some bad son. I would never say that. That's irresponsible. I wouldn't know what the hell I'm talking about. I have no idea what his relationship with his son was. I'm not getting into all of that. But I do know this. He wasn't the most competent brother in the world when it came to basketball operations. I do know this. There's a few times he was seen at Hooters while a basketball game was being played at the Staples Center. And I do know this, number 3, his relationship with Jeannie Buss was visibly toxic enough that it made people around them very uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable. Now, Jeannie Buss, it's not that she obviously acquiesced and capitulated to the demands of her daddy and let Jim Buss run basketball operations. He's a sibling too. He's a son as well, or a child of Dr. Buss as well. So he's got rights that she has too. We get all of that. The flip side to it, however, what the hell you did keeping him in that position so long? How come you didn't get rid of him sooner before the damage that he did was potentially irreparable? So that was problem number 1 for Jeannie Buss. Problem number 2, because she's not a billionaire, like Steve Ballmer is, or the late Paul Allen, Mark Cuban, and others, because the money in the Buss family, even though if they sold it, they'd be billionaires because they'd be, you think the Clippers if the Clippers are worth $2 billion for Ballmer to buy, the Lakers are easily worth $3 billion. Okay? But the Buss family is synonymous with the Lakers. They don't want to sell. Okay, we get that. Here's the other side to all of that. Jeannie Buss needed a box office draw. LeVar Ball, the marketing wizard that he is, put his son in our mind's eye. Had us thinking this brother out of Chino Hills starring for UCLA is going to be special in the pros. And the reality is we haven't seen that yet. I'm not saying that Lonzo Ball's a scrub. I'm not trying to disrespect him. I know he can play. He's smart, too. He's getting bigger. He's working on his game. But here's the reality of the situation. 2 things are very real about him. His jump shot is lacking, but more importantly than that, his assertiveness. My number 1 knock against Lonzo Ball is lack of assertiveness. I can't believe I'm saying that with the daddy he's got, that he's not aggressive enough. Because that's the last thing you would hear, you would concern yourself with about a son of LeVar Ball, that he wouldn't be aggressive enough. But he's not. And because of that, think about this. Why is all of this relevant on a day that we're talking about Anthony Davis? I'll tell you why. With a Kuzma, with an Ingram, if you had Jason Tatum, you think it would be harder or easier to make a deal with the Pelicans? The Pelicans, the Lakers on the table right now. They put Ingram. They put Kuzma. They put Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. They put, who else is Josh Hart. They've got 2 first-round picks that they forfeited. And damn it still ain't enough. You trying to tell me it would be that easier for the Pelicans to hold the fort if Jason Tatum was available? Or De'Aaron Fox? Or Lauri Markkanen? Or Dennis Smith Jr.? To a lesser degree, Malik Monk? Or how about Donovan Mitchell? These are all people that Magic Johnson passed up to draft Lonzo Ball. De'Aaron Fox, yes, that De'Aaron Fox. That point guard on the Sacramento Kings team that looks quite good, ladies and gentlemen. You saw that 360 dunk by Marvin Bagley last night. They got some special young athletes on their crew. And De'Aaron Fox, when we saw him in college, his last game was a step further than UCLA because he dropped 39 on Lonzo Ball and bounced UCLA right out of the postseason, the NCAA tournament. You could have drafted any of these people number 2 overall. You chose Lonzo Ball because clearly it was a box office move. And now you're the Los Angeles Lakers and you're in a bind. You're in a bind. And the reason why you're in a bind is because guess what? The Pelicans are being pressured not to do a damn thing for the Lakers. And everybody's going to deny it, and that's fine. But the league don't want this to happen. Executives for respective teams, particularly in the small markets, don't want this to happen. Opposing GMs don't want this to happen. Opposing agents don't want this to happen. They don't like Rich Paul. And they damn sure don't like Rob Pelinka, the GM for the Los Angeles Lakers, which is why it's Magic that has to be on the phone with Dell Demps, because he wouldn't even talk to Rob Pelinka, from what I'm told. Now, in fairness to Rob Pelinka, a gentleman that's always been nice to me, never did anything wrong to me. I don't have any problems with Rob Pelinka. And I'm going to lean on what Kobe says in terms of him being that basketball savant, somebody that played with the Fab Five. He was their teammate in their back-to-back trips to the national championship game. He's been a stellar agent throughout his career, but you got some agents that have very, very bitter feelings about him. And then there's Rich Paul. Now, in the interest of full disclosure, I talk to all of these agents, Rich Paul amongst them. I happen to like Rich Paul. I like Rich Paul a lot. I think he's a good brother who knows how to hustle. And guess what? If he's out dueling you at your own game, deal with it. If y'all expected somebody to hate on Rich Paul, y'all came to the wrong place. And no, I don't get anything from Rich Paul because Rich Paul talked to LeBron, and LeBron and I are cordial with each other. We say hi or bye, and that's it. I leave the interviews to Rachel Nichols. Because I ain't kissing no, not to say that she does, because I'm not saying that, but I ain't kissing nobody's you know what. So LeBron and I don't have that kind of relationship, and that is fine with me. But I love Rich Paul. I love Maverick Carter. I love Randy Mills. I love his whole crew of guys. I love them because guess what? They on their grind. They're doing their own things. And they're good, real brothers that's making an honest living and representing him very, very well. And they're ultra protective of him as they should be. They're good people who don't deserve, by the way, to be criticized as much as they're criticized. But if you're Rich Paul, because I don't know anybody who has a negative word to say about Maverick Carter. I mean, my God. You see him, he starts smiling. He smile at a cockroach, for crying out loud. He's always got the smile on his face. As friendly as you want to be. Rich Paul, not so much. When you talk about Rich, he's proven to be a hell of an agent. that tries to make things happen. And he's trying to get Anthony Davis to L.A. And clearly this was in the works since last summer. So that's what you have. Either way you slice it, you have people who, by the way, LeBron's an enemy of theirs. I'm talking about league. I'm not talking about the league office. I'm talking about team officials. They look at him as the embodiment of what they don't want these athletes to be, because LeBron is an incredibly influential and powerful athlete who has been able to dictate his own destinations on 3 occasions, that can snub the money, that can shove aside whatever influence you think you got, that can look somebody like Pat Riley in the face and say, bye, Felicia. I don't need you no more. I did this. I'm doing this. I gave you 4 years. Like I said, I don't mess with LeBron, but we ain't enemies. He's a good dude. Incredible role model. And a champion. But he wields a level of power and is very public and flagrant about it to such a degree that makes the status quo uncomfortable. Not with him, but with others destined to follow to try to do the things that he has done. And they're not having it. When you hear people talk about how Anthony Davis ain't nowhere in hell he going to end up in L.A. before Thursday, they're saying stuff like, you cannot allow LeBron James to get away with this. Those are the words they're using. That's not me. Those are the words they're using. You cannot allow LeBron James. He's a player, right? They don't view him that way. They hear Clutch Sports with Rich Paul, they're thinking he's running it. That's what they're thinking. They think he's behind everything. So the bottom line is, when you look at it from that perspective, they want to stop him. And if Anthony Davis were to end up in L.A. before the trading deadline expires, you're capitulating to LeBron. The same LeBron that left Cleveland for Miami without telling the owner, and he found out on television like the rest of us. The same LeBron who left Pat Riley. And while Pat Riley with Alonzo Mourning and others flew to Vegas to talk to him, they were talking to Rich Paul. LeBron was on a Nintendo game or whatever the hell it was, PlayStation or whatever the hell it was. To the point where Alonzo Mourning and others felt the need to approach him and go like, yo, man, show this man some respect. You can't do that. I had people tell me that, and it wasn't Alonzo. But that's how flagrant the disrespect was towards Pat Riley in Pat Riley's eyes at the time. So you had an owner like Dan Gilbert offended. You had a guy like Pat Riley offended. You come back to Cleveland. Brilliant move. You erase a 52-year-old curse. You win a championship. You left Cleveland again. You owe them nothing. They should be grateful forever. And now you go to L.A. And in the meantime, along the way, you've proven to be a savant as a basketball mind, brilliant at business, and literally bringing guys along and teaching them how to be just as brilliant as you are and how to buck the system. All things to be appreciated, all things to be admired, all things to look at LeBron James and say, damn, what a great role model. Particularly being African-American, considering the plight and the challenges to educate and to reach back and extend yourself the way that you do. What a special man. But then you got bold. And you got your own show on HBO. And you advertised who you are and who you wanted to be even more. Remember when he went at Nick Saban, acting like his show, The Shop, was the first time something like that had been done and somebody was stealing your idea? Nick Saban of all, that's the person you want to get in a fight with. And then after that, you start talking about owners in the NFL and accusing them of having a, quote, plantation mentality. Well, now you publicized your agenda even more so. So now you're scared the living hell out of everybody. And to capitulate to LeBron James is to send the league in a backward direction in their eyes. I, Stephen A. Smith, am not saying this to you. I am telling you what has been told to me as the motivation and the incentive behind the attitude that states, no way in hell do you give in to what the Lakers and LeBron James wants. That's the hole that Magic Johnson has been put in. And I'm not saying he can't dig himself out of it because he's Irving Magic Johnson. I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen, it's a hell of a lot to ask for him to pull it off before this Thursday. But it ain't finished yet. Who knows? He might do it. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. That was Straight Talk Wireless. Nationwide coverage in America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE networks. We'll continue talking about this stuff. I'll get into the Knicks angle in all of this as well. I'm also going to mention the Dallas Mavericks and what they get out of this deal for Porzingis as well, because that needs to be noted. Also, Kobe Bryant on James Harden, Kobe Bryant on Anthony Davis. All of that and then some is coming up as the show progresses today. So don't touch that dial. Stick around. You're listening live. Also, I got to get into Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper and whether or not he's going to be a Yankee. Machado, whether or not he's going to be a Yankee. Who the hell's going to be a Yankee? You got over 100 free agents out there. Spring training is about to start in a week. I get into all of that. So all of that stuff I'm going to get into. Plus Carson Wentz and the Philadelphia Eagles. Would you keep Carson Wentz or would you keep Nick Foles? Which quarterback do you think the Eagles should go into next year and the future with? 888-SAY-ESPN. You're listening live, Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN News. By the way, stop racking your brain about what Valentine's gift is truly going to make her day special. Roses from 1-800-Flowers are a no-brainer. Right now, when you order early, you can get the 18 stem enchanted rose medley for $29.99 or double it to the 36 stem enchanted roses for $20 more. To order the 18 stem enchanted rose medley for $29.99 or double the roses for $20 more, go to 1-800-Flowers.com, click the radio icon, and enter code Stephen A. Order today and save it at 1-800-Flowers.com, code Stephen A. That's with a PH, not a V. Hurry up. This offer ends Wednesday. Progressive can save an average of $668. Call or click today and find out if we could save you hundreds on your car insurance. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. You are listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, ESPN News. Lots of stuff to continue to get into. And let me get into something else, too. Let me get into all of this stuff about the Knicks because it's important to understand what's going on right here. Kyrie Irving may end up staying. But Kyrie Irving is not just a marquee talent in terms of his ability, his ball handling skills. St. Patrick's in Elizabeth, New Jersey. We know what he brings to the table. This brother is now box office. Kyrie Irving right now might be the greatest show in pro basketball. I want y'all to understand what I'm trying to say to y'all. At this moment in time, right now, I mean, watching Steph Curry shoot threes, particularly at the Oracle when that crowd's going crazy. Okay, that's one element we can't ignore. Here's the other. I ask you a simple question. Right now, John Noonan, anybody, tell me who's a better basketball show than Kyrie Irving. I said this yesterday. I'm going to say it again. Kyrie Irving right now is the best show in basketball. To watch this brother's ball handling skills, to watch him put on a show the way he puts on a show, there's nobody like this, ladies and gentlemen. Steph Curry comes close when he's pulling up from 40. That's true. But Kyrie's ball handling skills, it is something to behold. And this dude is somebody you walk through. See, we usually walk through the turnstiles in football to see a team and to see a game and to see an event. When it comes to Kyrie Irving, you walk through the turnstiles to watch him. He He's that special. He's that special. And here's where I'm at with it. Everybody, I don't know. I'm told he's 100. He's close to 100%. The knee is fine. It was bone on bone, no cartilage, tendon tear, inflammation, all of that stuff. He's fine. So assuming that's true, understand that everybody believes Kyrie's leaving. Kyrie, before the season began, stood before Boston Celtics fans and said, I am happy to be here for a long time if you'll have me. I have every intention of doing so. The operative words were, if you'll have me. But because Danny Ainge is a brilliant executive who has shown his muscle and muster, who's constantly looking to make a move, etc., Kyrie isn't interested in being bait for anybody. He wants to be where he wants to be. Ladies and gentlemen, are y'all ready for something that'll make y'all laugh? John, look at me when I'm talking to you. Nuno, can you hear me? JC, can you hear me? Do y'all know that Kyrie Irving doesn't, to my understanding, and if I'm wrong, I need to look at the contract again because I haven't looked at the contract in a while, but I'm pretty sure he does not have a no-trade clause. That the Boston Celtics, if they wanted to, could trade him. Not that they're going to trade him, but that they could. Do you know that he has a no-trade? He doesn't have a no-trade clause, but Kentavious Caldwell-Pope does? You see, these are the kind of things that irritate people like Kyrie. It irritates me. And I cover the league. I like Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. I think in the right situation, he can prove to be a player, worth as much as Tim Hardaway Jr. is, who's making about $71 million from the Knicks before he got traded to the Mavericks. But Kentavious Caldwell-Pope is no Kyrie Irving. Why the hell does he have a no-trade clause, but Kyrie Irving does? But Kyrie Irving does not. LeBron, the specter of getting LeBron, Rich Paul using his influence to ensure that because he has LeBron. See, these are the kind of things that people look at. And anyway, because I digress, at the end of the day, here's what it comes down to. Nobody believes Kyrie's staying in Boston any longer. And I'm here to tell you right now, I'm praying he does not. I'm praying that Kyrie blesses Madison Square Garden with his perpetual presence for the next 4 to 5 years. I'm praying, literally praying. I've gotten on my knees. And I like Brad Stevens. And I respect the hell out of Danny Ainge. And that Boston Celtics fan base is phenomenal. I love going to Boston to watch those games. They treat me great. Love y'all. The Celtics as an organization, the security folks in TD Bank Garden, they're absolutely wonderful to me. I love all of those guys and ladies. They're phenomenal. But I want Kyrie in New York. Keep your team, be good, make the playoffs, challenge for a championship. I just want it to be against Kyrie in New York, not with Kyrie there. In my perfect world, it won't happen. But in my perfect world, Kyrie Irving wins the championship this year and leaves to come to New York. I would love that. Don't see it happening, though, because I don't see anybody beating Golden State. But the New York Knicks obviously are hoping for things. And they have targeted Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. That's what I'm being told. Those are the two that they think they can get. They really think they got a chance. And that's why they went all in. And for those of you out there that did not hear my position last week from the Super Bowl, I'll give it to you again. Do not, listen, people are going to talk to you about the media and New York Knicks. New York Knicks don't spin a damn soul. New York Knicks can't spin nobody but themselves with their history. But the truth is the truth. The New York Knicks had to move Porzingis. They had to get rid of this man. Porzingis did not want to be there. He hasn't wanted to be there for a long time. He does not respect the organization. This is not about Steve Mills and Scott Perry because they just got at the helm this season. We know who's been running the Knicks. It was Phil Jackson, who didn't even see Frank Ntilikina before drafting him. Don't get me started on Phil Jackson. Not the coach, the 11-time champion. I'm talking about the executive. Don't get me started on Phil the executive. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, he should be arrested for theft. Handcuffed. James Dolan should file charges against his behind. He should be prosecuted to the full extent of NBA laws with the robbery that he committed, stealing $60 million. That's exactly what he did. Porzingis didn't want to be there. Porzingis had every intention to want to leave. He couldn't force his way out literally to that degree. But if Porzingis is there and he's telling you he's going to sign a qualifying offer, which would mean a one-year deal, which, by the way, would leave him as an unrestricted free agent, stripping the New York Knicks of any leverage that they may have had, they had no choice because essentially here's all that meant. If you keep me here, I'm going to let it be known I don't want to be here, and that's not exactly a recruiting tool for you to have at your disposal when you're trying to get marquee free agents to come here. So that is the situation. And certainly the pettiness of James Dolan, which I articulated yesterday, putting Porzingis up on a TV screen, highlighting how he missed an exit meeting following the 2016-2017 season is just petty. Is James Dolan the child? As brilliant of an executive and a businessman he may be, we all know his record ain't the same as a basketball mind or a steward of a basketball franchise. And when you see stuff like this, you recognize how petty and pathetic he can be. This truly is the dude that pay other people so he can be the opening act. It's just petty. And he needs to do better. So the bottom line is this. You look at it from that perspective, and what it comes down to is that the New York Knicks are in a situation where they've got cap space for 2 max players. And Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving would be something special. It would be something special that none of us could disagree, dismiss, or anything like that. But can they pull it off? They already tried Anthony Davis, and the Pelicans wouldn't cave even when they were offering Porzingis. So why the hell would they do that now? New York Knicks can't get Anthony Davis. Not yet. Unless, of course, they get the number 1 overall pick. Who knows what's possible? But even then, I doubt they'd be able to pull off giving up Anthony Davis or acquiring Anthony Davis. So it appears to be KD with Kyrie or KD with Kemba. We shall see. We shall see. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. You're listening live to Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN News. We'll get back to your calls or to your calls in a minute. By the way, when you're hiring, you don't want to waste time sorting through dozens of irrelevant resumes, do you? You want an efficient way to get to a short list of qualified candidates. Plus, tune in tonight for college basketball action as North Carolina State battles UNC. CC action presented by Peloton. Coverage begins at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. You just can't make this up. You just can't make this up. Did y'all hear the news? Did y'all hear the news? John Wall for the Washington Wizards fell in his home and has now suffered a ruptured Achilles tendon that will keep him out at least 12 months. So it's bad enough that you're getting paid $19.1 million right now, that you sign an extension that's paying you $170 million. So you were getting paid for not working this year, and now next year when your new $170 million extension kicks in, you won't even be playing. And oh, by the way, he's making $38.1 million next year. You can't make this up. You just can't make this up. Hey, John, JC, John, both of you. Now, I just want to make sure, because we know that John Wall's sensitive. We understand John Wall's sensitive because Stephen ain't talking about him. So he's sensitive. All right, so let's be clear. This was given to me, right? This is news, right? Just like when I talked about him at the Rose Bowl. That wasn't me reporting about him being at some nightclub. I don't do that. What I was doing was reporting that TMZ, you can't have TMZ having videos of you on camera at the nightclub on the eve of the NBA season when you came into camp a little pudgy and out of shape. That's all I said. But I'm diming people out. You in front of the public overweight, okay? But I'm diming you out. And now this. Hey, John, was this me? Was I in John Wall's house and I discovered he slipped on some soap, okay? He slipped on some soap or whatever it was and ruptured his Achilles tendon, and I'm reporting that to... Did I do that? I just want to make sure. Because I don't want to be accused of divulging private information. Okay? Did I do that? Isn't this public? That was me, right? Jesus. You got to be kidding me. Boy, I'm mad I didn't focus on being an NBA athlete. 19 million plus 38 next year and can't play because he injured. Damn, it's over the airways of ESPN Radio and ESPN News. 250 plus markets across the United States of America. Check your AM, FM dial, plus ESPN Radio on Sirius XM Channel 80, plus ESPN Radio. Simulcast over the live national television airways of ESPN News. 888 say ESPN is the number to call up. This 888-729-3776. The Stephen A. Smith Show is being brought to you by Pennzoil Synthetics, taking synthetic motor oil performance to a whole new level. So make the switch to Pennzoil Synthetics today. Plus, with the Vivid Seats app, it's easy to find awesome seats to any game. Download the app and enter promo code CHAMPS at checkout to get 10% off your first order. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll get back to your calls or to your calls in just a little bit. But for now, it's always great to have my next guest on the line. He worked with me here at ESPN, doing an outstanding job for us for many years. He's now an NBA writer, an NBA analyst, and insider for the New York Times. My buddy, the one and only Mark Stein, is on the line with yours truly right now. What's going on, buddy? How are you, man? How's everything?
Trade deadline week. Couldn't be better.
I know this much. First order of business, man. The only reason I'm bringing this up as a first note is because I just finished talking about it before we went to commercial break. You heard the news that John Wall slipped in his home and is out for the next 12 months as opposed to 6 or 8 months as originally speculated upon. So he's going to be out for at least a year, which means he'll be out for at least half of the season next year when a year where his new 4-year, $170 million contract kicks in. Your reaction to that, Mark Stein?
Well, firstly, it's sad. It's, obviously now this injury is way worse. I mean, he's, and people with John Wall, they look at the money, so they're not going to feel sympathy. Oh, he got the bag. He's fine. Yes, he's got $170 million coming, but it's horrible for him. It's horrible for the Wizards. But if you want to cut to the chase, the question now will be, Ted Leonsis, the Wizards owner, has been adamant. They're not trading Bradley Beal.
Right.
They're not trading Otto Porter. We're not going to tank. I find the word tanking offensive. But if you're not going to see John Wall for at least a year now,
right?
They're going to have to really think, do we want to make Bradley Beal available? I don't think it happens this week. I don't think it happens before the deadline. If they made Beal available, they would have a line out the door.
Yes,
they're going to have to really look at what happens now.
And that's where I'm at, Mark Stein, because the reason I asked that question, listen, first of all, nobody wishes injury upon anybody. And, John Wall actually is a really, really good guy, and he plays hard when he plays, and nobody's trying to dismiss that about him. But the flip side to it is that, my goodness, this has been going on for quite some time. I don't know how he got the money that he got based on his health, and now that he's gotten it, but he can't play. If I'm the Washington Wizards, I strongly do consider moving Beal. I open up the phone lines right now before the trading deadline, Mark, just to see what the price would be for him, wouldn't you?
And look, the calls are coming in whether they want them or not. Teams are going to ask. They've been asking about Beal all season. My instinct is they're not going to be able to rush and put something together in the next 48 hours. I mean, basically, the trade deadline's 2 days away now, Thursday at 3:00. But, we're going to be hearing more and more and more about teams trying to get Beal and, can the Wizards find a new path? Because this is a mess. It's sad.
Mark Stein, New York Times, right here with Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN News. Let's go into what's been transpiring over the last few days. Anthony Davis is the story of the day. We all know the story about Anthony Davis through Rich Paul basically stating to everybody he wants out. He's not going to sign an extension. He would prefer to be moved to the Los Angeles Lakers. We've learned that the Los Angeles Lakers have offered Kuzma and Ingram and Ball and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and 2 first-round picks. How do you see this thing panning out?
I don't think we're going to get a trade this week. Now, again, there's still those 48 hours, and it's a one-team race right now. It's just the Lakers banging on the Pelicans' door, but no matter what the Lakers can throw at them, and even if the Lakers decide to submit to every wish New Orleans has, you just can't convince me, and I have a feeling New Orleans feels the same way. You can't convince me that offer won't be there in May and June. I mean, the Lakers can say all they want, we're going to move on to other targets. Who is believing that? They're not moving on to other targets. Anthony Davis is the guy LeBron James wants to play next to. He's the guy that makes the most sense there. The Lakers, it's going to be there. It's going to be there for the Pelicans if they wait, and then obviously you bring in Boston, and it becomes even more of a frenzy. I still think that's the way the Pelicans are strongly leaning. But again, you and I have both been doing this too long to, box ourselves into a corner on Tuesday. 48 hours to go. Let's see if the Lakers can change their mind. Let's see if Rich Paul can change their mind. Let's see if the Pelicans get to a point where they say, you know what, we don't want this circus anymore. We want to move on. But I think it's better for them to wait, and I think that's how they see it as well.
Mark Stein, my compelling question to you would be this. Why do you think the Pelicans are holding out? Is it truly because, okay, we can wait and teams like Boston and others will come down the pike once the summer arrives? Or is it because the league, team executives from other places, opposing agents, etc., everybody's in Dell Demp's ear, letting him know, you do this, you'll be a fool, and you'll probably lose your job? What do you think is the biggest reason that something hasn't happened?
I don't think it's that. I do think it's twofold. Look, Boston is surely telling them, just wait, and we'll give you Tatum. Or I would think the Pelicans are saying, let's let Boston get in this, and we'll ask for Tatum and see how willing the Celtics are to do it. I mean, there are varying reports whether Boston is willing to surrender Tatum for Anthony Davis, and that will surely fold into, can they keep Kyrie Irving as well? And the Celtics would presumably have a better idea of that in May and June than they do now. But there's also the Knicks. What if your Knicks win the draft lottery, get the rights to Zion Williamson, and can now put Zion together with some of their young assets? The Knicks have 6-7 first-round picks over the next 5 years. What if the Knicks are willing to make a Zion-based offer for Anthony Davis in May because they've won the lottery? Now, if you're the Pelicans, that might be more appealing than what the Lakers can offer. So it just makes more sense for them to wait. The options will be better in May and June. They just will.
When you bring up Zion Williamson, though, that's just one player. And obviously Porzingis is gone, and you would not have attracted a marquee free agent as of yet let alone 2 if you're the New York Knicks. So it's basically Zion and a bunch of parts that don't even matter for the Pelicans. They would value that.
They got Knox. They got Ntilikina. They got Trier, and they have
Mark Stein.
A handful of...
Hold on, Mark Stein. You and I have been friends for many years. Did you just bring up Frank Ntilikina? Did you just do that?
Come on, you're not writing him off already, man.
You know I have. You know me, Mark. You know I'm no fan of Frank Ntilikina. Come on, Mark. You know me.
Right. If Frank Ntilikina is as bad as you say, let's put him off to the side. Forget I mentioned it. I apologize.
All right.
Still, Zion Williamson, Kevin Knox, and more first-round picks, that's an offer worth considering if you're the Pelicans. I'm not saying 100% do it, but I would want the option. I would want to put that on my board up against whatever the Lakers can offer and whatever Boston can offer. So all I'm saying is if you wait till May or June, you're going to have more options. And I think the Pelicans know it.
We're talking to NBA writer and insider extraordinaire Mark Stein. Used to obviously worked for ESPN, now working for the New York Times. He's right here with Stephen A., ESPN Radio, ESPN News. So if you break this down, Mark, I mean, what do you happen to believe is a more likely scenario based on the scuttlebutt, what you're hearing? Do you think he'll end up in L.A. by this summer? Do you think he'll end up in Boston or someplace else? Do you believe that New York legitimately has a shot and that it could be Kyrie along with Anthony Davis as opposed to Kyrie along with Kevin Durant coming to New York? What do you think is the most likely scenario for Anthony Davis?
If it gets to the summer, I think Boston has a tremendous opportunity unless, look, we've heard consistently now for a week that Anthony Davis doesn't want to be in Boston. His father came out and put his name on it and said,
yep,
I don't want to see my son in Boston. So let's say we don't get a trade this week and we get to May and June and the Celtics now finally can really dig into this. If that drumbeat gets louder and the message just keeps getting louder that Anthony Davis wants nothing to do with Boston, we know Danny Ainge has the soul of a gambler, but is he really going to be willing to risk his best trade assets for someone he doesn't know if he can keep? I mean, that becomes an incredibly risky proposition. But look, I do think the Knicks have a chance here if they win the draft lottery. I'm speaking only when it comes
right
to Anthony Davis. But look, they just cleared $70 million plus in cap space, and when you talk to teams around this league, they believe the Knicks are a legit threat to get Durant and or Kyrie. I mean,
why do they think that? Why do they think that, Mark? Why do they think that the Knicks are a legitimate threat to get Kevin Durant and Kyrie? Aside from money, aside from having the cap space, what's the reason for New York? Because you know how New Yorkers are, and ever since Dolan arrived, they're just perpetually depressed. Why should New York Knicks fans believe that the Knicks legitimately have a shot at those two guys?
I have my weekly newsletter coming out today, and I basically wrote that exact same thing. With James Dolan in charge, if you're going to take it a believe it when I see it approach, that's totally understandable. I mean, I'm right there with you. I mean, history tells us, has anyone really wanted to go there over the last 20 years since they made the finals? I mean, it's going to have to be proven. All I can say is, though, when other teams watch the Knicks do what they did last week, when they come up with a trade that clears that much space, the Knicks rivals are the ones who are taking the stance of the Knicks don't make a move like that unless they know something. I mean, that is almost universally the reaction from other teams. The Knicks wouldn't have done what they did with Porzingis if they didn't have a strong sense that they're going to have a real shot at Durant and or Kyrie. And look, Golden State has been hearing for months, really since last season's finals, that the Knicks are the team that has the best shot to steal Durant. And I think they believe that more today than they ever have. Now, there's still a long season to go. Who knows what winning another championship would do? Maybe that makes it impossible for KD to leave. But we're all trying to step into somebody's head. And the only people who really know are Kevin Durant and his business partner, Rich Kleiman. They know, or at least probably have a good idea of what they're going to do in July. But the rest of us, we don't know, and we're going to have to wait and see. But just other teams take the Knicks seriously, whether Knicks fans do or not.
What is Scott Perry, the general manager for the New York Knicks? Enlighten us about what his relationship is with Kevin Durant.
Yeah, look, Scott Perry was with Durant in Seattle. Royal Ivey is on the Knicks bench and is one of Kevin Durant's best friends. One of the expiring contracts they just got, DeAndre Jordan, is another one of Kevin Durant's best friends, and he's a Knick right now. Now, it would be really complicated because of DeAndre's cap hold for the Knicks to find a way to keep DeAndre there and bring Durant in. But if you dig into it, there are no shortage of connections that, us media types love to analyze and talk about when it comes to the Knicks and Durant. So, I mean, he's got allies there. There's no question.
Why is it even a consideration, considering the fact that Kyrie Irving has become the show, the absolute show that he is? Why is it even a consideration that the Boston Celtics could lose him?
Well, look, I mean, I think that requires us to, again, try to get into somebody's head and to sit here and pretend like I can tell you I know exactly what Kyrie or Durant is thinking would be a huge exaggeration.
Right.
But all the things that Kyrie has said this month, I mean, they've certainly given the Celtics pause. I mean, he went from at the start of the season saying, I'm going to stay, to don't even ask me till July 1st. I'm sick of talking this. And basically that translates to all options are open. So is he unhappy there? Is the weight of expectations that have really afflicted that whole Boston team, is it weighing on Kyrie? Does he want to go somewhere else? I mean, look, the Knicks and the Nets, both New York teams, have believed quietly for a long time that they're going to have a shot at Kyrie Irving in free agency. It's not like the teams interested in him heard what he said in October and said, oh, well, we got no shot. Kyrie's staying in Boston. I mean, these teams are still going to try. And, as you know, it's a long season, and where a guy is in October, not always where he is in July.
Is this just about Kyrie potentially choosing to leave Boston, or is this about Danny Ainge might not minding that Kyrie Irving leaves Boston? I only ask that question because as we look at the team assembled, and I've thrown this out there, of course Terry Rozier is not Kyrie Irving. That's not the way to look at it. The way to look at it to me is he's a guy that thinks he should be starting in this league. Some people would agree with him, and he would be at the very least $100 million cheaper than Kyrie Irving. If anybody was shrewd enough to think along those lines, it would be Danny Ainge, wouldn't you say?
But if Danny Ainge really took that stance, if Danny Ainge had gone sour on Kyrie, he would have tried to trade him before this deadline. And again,
That's right.
I throw in that disclaimer that I've thrown in about 7 times now. We still got 48 hours to go before the deadline and rule nothing out because this league is absolutely nuts. But, if Danny Ainge doesn't trade Kyrie Irving, and we've had zero, I want to underline, we've had zero evidence to suggest that he's going to trade him this week before the deadline, that would make you think, no, the Celtics fully expect to keep Kyrie Irving, and he's a big part of their plans. I mean, he wouldn't want, in other words, he wouldn't want to lose him for nothing. And if there is no Kyrie Irving trade this week and Kyrie goes to free agency, he's at risk for losing him for nothing. So, Danny Ainge is too smart to let that happen.
Mark Steiner, New York Times, right here with Stephen A., ESPN Radio, ESPN News. The Clippers, we haven't mentioned them too much because obviously they're not players in this NBA trading deadline situation. They're holding all of their chips until this summer when they believe they've got a legitimate shot at Kawhi Leonard. Is it possible that come end of July, we're sitting here talking about Anthony Davis being somewhere else, Kyrie Irving being somewhere else, Kawhi Leonard being somewhere else, all right, Kevin Durant being somewhere else, and nobody is in the Los Angeles Lakers uniform?
I mean, I think it is possible. I think it has to be a possibility on the board, but there are some people around the league who watched the events of last week when Kyrie said what he said and have watched all month as Kyrie and LeBron have seemingly lobbed Valentines back and forth to each other about how much they miss each other. Now there's a sense that what if the Lakers could get Anthony Davis and Kyrie, and they're the ones who steal Kyrie away from the Celtics and not the Knicks. So, I mean, there are 6, 7, 8 really, really good free agents this summer. It's going to be an absolute frenzy because it's this small clutch of 4 or 5 teams that are going after them all. And let's also not forget the 2020 free agent class is really weak. So these teams have to get stuff done this summer. And, you mentioned the Clippers. I mean, they're going after 2 biggies. The Clippers, like the Knicks, have never, they have not been successful in free agency. So they've got to get 1 marquee free agent before I'm ready to say they can get 2. But Kawhi Leonard, I mean, every time I am in the Clippers orbit all season long, I mean, their confidence in terms of getting Kawhi Leonard, you can feel it when you're around that team. They think they're getting Kawhi.
It's huge, Mark. I've been there. They are incredibly confident that they've got a big-time shot at getting Kawhi Leonard in a Clippers uniform, and that's what I think is going to be interesting. But just to make sure we explain it for those when you bring up Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving potentially in the Lakers uniform, for those who may not understand, if you're getting Anthony Davis, it'll be via a trade. That won't compromise you to the extreme.
They got to trade for Davis and sign Kyrie.
There you go. There you go.
Anthony Davis isn't a free agent until 2020, but there are people who believe that is the grand Laker plan.
Before I let you go, two teams that come to my mind as well that have flown under the radar as it pertains to potential moves that, that we can't ignore. Brooklyn Nets, they could do some things. Talk to me about what they'll be able to do this summer, and also the Philadelphia 76ers, simply because of the assets they have available to them.
Yeah, I mean, the Nets, as I said, like the Knicks, they have big dreams in free agency too. They're obviously farther along than Knicks in their rebuild, which is amazing when you think about the state of that team when Sean Marks became the GM. But, they will definitely go after Kyrie this summer as well. I think Jimmy Butler is a name. Obviously that relates to Philadelphia. Do the Sixers keep him? Will the Nets try to go after Kyrie and Jimmy Butler together? That scenario has been thrown around. So, look, July is going to be delicious. I mean, we still got a trade deadline, All-Star weekend, the playoffs, the finals. I mean, I don't want to skip ahead and act like the next 4 months don't have a lot of important stuff. But this July will be as anticipated as any free agent summer that I can remember.
That is fair to say, but since the trading deadline is the one that's only 48 hours away, or at least 49 hours, or 48 hours and 40 minutes away now, if the Lakers end up not doing this Anthony Davis thing, which we're not pulling this off, which we both suspect will be the case, how should we feel about it? How should Los Angeles Lakers fans feel?
I mean, they got to be nervous because they know that means the Celtics will be in and the Knicks will be in, and presumably teams that we're not even talking about will try to jump into this. But, the Lakers do have – I'm higher on the Lakers' assets than most people. I do think that when you put all their young players and draft picks together, it is a package that is tempting. So with LeBron James there, with Rich Paul there, not going to rule them out. I'm not going to say if the Lakers can't get this done this week that it's over, but certainly it becomes a lot tougher, a lot trickier, a lot scarier for them.
I love Kuzma. I love Josh Hart and Zubac, that big center. I like him as well. As far as I'm concerned, anybody else is expendable. But then again, for Anthony Davis, I guess everybody has to be expendable, right?
Whatever it takes to get Anthony Davis, you do it.
Mark Stein, appreciate you, buddy. Keep up the great work. We'll talk soon, all right?
Always good to catch up.
You too, buddy. You take it easy. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. You're listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio. You heard Mark Stein break it down. Now we'll get to you, and you'll hear me break it down as well. So don't touch that dial. Stick around. It's Stephen A., ESPN Radio, ESPN News. By the way, Peloton is a game-changing indoor cycling bike that brings the energy of live studio classes right to your home anytime you want. Winter or summer, rain or shine. Whether it's a monthly challenge to meet your goals, a training program for your next race, or setting a new personal best, the Peloton bike will make you want to show up and keep climbing the live leaderboard year-round. On average, Peloton members are riding their bikes more every year and crushing their personal records along the way. So learn more about the Peloton bike at onepeloton.com or visit your local showroom. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. More is presented by Progressive Insurance. Commercial insurance through Progressive protects your business and your dream. Choose from over 30 coverage options at progressivecommercial.com. To the phones we go at 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Let's get to the phones. Let's go to Frank. You're live with Stephen A. Talk to me, Frank. Frank, you're live on the air. Go ahead, buddy. Frank? Goodbye, Frank. Let's go to Emmanuel. You're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Mr. Stephen A., how you doing, sir?
I'm all right. Talk to me, man.
All right. So first things first, I like to say that you are the perfect blend of entertainment, information, and annoyance. You do a great job.
Thank you.
Secondly, I sat here for the last hour and heard you call Danny Ainge brilliant. And then I heard you criticize LeBron James in regards to him being able to leverage his talent over the NBA.
False.
And I think
you did not. False. You did not hear me say that. What you heard me say was, I have no problem with it, but they do. And they're going to treat him like he's the enemy, which means they're going to create roadblocks for him. You never heard me say I had a problem with it.
No. I heard you criticize the man.
No, I didn't.
And
no,
what
I didn't.
I'm going to say is this.
No. I'm not going to let you go on. That's false. I did not criticize him. What I said is you have to be aware of the fact they're coming for you. I don't have a problem with him. He ain't affecting me. But if you are trying to get other people to join you and you need cooperation from those people, you can't alienate them. Otherwise, they're going to get you. That's what I said.
Advantage of Isaiah Thomas and threw him out to the Wolves.
Who?
And what I'm going to say is, you can have that opinion, and I respect.
Listen, man, do you want to dial tone or not? Because we didn't hear you. You got to answer my question. It's not your show, it's mine. All we heard was Isaiah Thomas. We didn't hear you explain what you said about Isaiah Thomas. So you have to answer my question. What did you say?
Here's what I'm saying. I'm saying that Danny Ainge, the way that he treated Isaiah Thomas, is the exact reason why you need LeBron James.
Stop right there. Stop right there. Let me ask you a question. Can Kyrie ball? No, answer my question. Can Kyrie Irving ball, yes or no?
Well, I didn't hear you. Say it again.
Can Kyrie Irving ball, yes or no?
You know the answer.
All right.
Question.
No. You gotta work with me. Again, you don't get to do my show. It's my show. Kyrie Irving can ball. Who's more valuable to you, Kyrie Irving or Isaiah Thomas?
Isaiah Thomas, 100%.
Isaiah Thomas 100% more valuable than Kyrie Irving?
No. I'm going to say Kyrie. I got it backwards.
Oh, okay. So now, no problem. That understands. I do it all the time. So, Kyrie is more valuable than Isaiah. Isaiah Thomas hurt his hip, and there were questions as to whether or not he could go in the midst of him looking for $150 to $200 million payday. Danny Ainge has decided to go in the direction of Kyrie. Kyrie's still playing. Isaiah Thomas is still hurt. Who made the smarter move?
Right, and he's going to lose Kyrie, and he should lose Kyrie, and it's just karma.
But what I'm saying to you is that if he loses Kyrie, he still didn't lose out on having Kyrie instead of Isaiah because Isaiah just signed a contract for $2 million. He went from looking for $200 million to signing for $2 million. Emmanuel, come on.
It's shot. If he would have did right by Isaiah Thomas, he would be able to have a shot at Anthony Davis right now. But the fact that he threw that man under the bus, you tell a bunch of new millennium guys who have more control over their careers than any other athletes in the history of the world, that you're a person that's not to be trusted.
Well, we all want control. So I'm not knocking that thought process. Nor am I knocking LeBron. LeBron exercises a level of control we all come out of the womb wishing we had. So there's nothing but props to him. But what I am saying to you is this. You're going off about Danny Ainge, about bad karma. And here's what I said back then. Did Danny Ainge look Isaiah Thomas in the face and say, I guarantee you're not leaving Boston. I'm going to take care of you. Because unless he did that, it's business. It's not backstabbing. It's not bad karma. Unless he lied to that man's face. That's it.
It doesn't have to be exact words. You don't have to be coached into doing the right thing.
I'm not trying to be literal here, man. You know what I'm saying. I'm saying lying any way you slice it. Did he give the man an indication that he was going to take care of him and then renege? That's all I mean by that.
I'm mad at him for lying. I'm not even mad at him for pulling the move. I'm saying that you called the man brilliant.
But it is.
And if we're going to call anybody brilliant,
hold on. Wait.
We got to talk about LeBron James.
I'm saying to you is that you have to look at his moves. You could call LeBron James. That's fair. Let's go. I recall calling LeBron a basketball savant. I recall calling him brilliant until you still got things to do, but you're very flagrant in your approach and perceived as offensive by the people you need to do business with. That's the problem. Danny Ainge can stand pat right now, and Boston's a title contender right now. He could do that.
But it's not going to happen.
Okay, we'll see. Have a nice day. We'll see. We'll see. Isaiah, you're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Hey, what's up, Stephen A? I just want to know one thing, man. I've been listening to all this Anthony Davis talk. I'm just weighing the pros and cons about what Anthony Davis could actually gain from playing with LeBron. I mean, we don't even know if LeBron's healthy right now.
Instant title contention. Instant title contention. Anthony Davis goes to LeBron to L.A. They go into the conference finals. Personally speaking, I think LeBron and the Lakers would have gone to the conference finals this year if LeBron hadn't gotten hurt. That's what I believe. If LeBron and Rondo and those boys hadn't been suffering a bevy of injuries, if they were able to stay healthy, my prediction was the Lakers were going to the conference finals where they were going to lose to the Warriors.
Yeah, I agree with that. But, I mean, what happens when he gets there? He's faking a broke hand again? I mean, we saw that in the Game 5 presser.
I will say this, though. It is completely unfair for you to bring up LeBron and injuries from the standpoint. This man has been in the league all year, all these years. And this year was the longest injury situation that he ever had. The man has been an absolute freak of nature and physical phenom when it comes to his health and conditioning. And you know it.
But he did. I mean, he did fake a broke hand. I mean, we saw him 2 weeks later.
No. I'm just saying you said you were bringing up LeBron's health.
Yeah.
And I'm saying to you can trust that he's going to be available when it counts because he's giving you no reason not to trust that.
I'm bringing up his heart, too. I mean, we saw his meltdown in the Game 1 of the finals last year. Do you really want that on your team?
You really said a meltdown? That's what we get. So we going to call it a meltdown because he dropped 50 and watch J.R. Smith forget that the score was tied, and we going to call that a meltdown?
He dropped 50, but he wasn't available. I mean, he was nowhere to be found in OT. It was like the game was over as soon as he saw George Hill.
All right. Okay. All right. Have a nice day, man. I don't have time. I mean, you just called up to tell your boys you were arguing with Stephen A. at the barbershop. I ain't got time. I really, really don't. I'm not doing it, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to argue. LeBron drops 50, and you're going to sit up there and say he had a meltdown. Really? That's the best you could do? That's the best you could do? I'm glad you, props to you, bro. You would have been calm, cool, and collected with JR at that moment. Congratulations. Eric, you're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Oh, boy. I've been waiting for so long. What's going on, Steve?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right.
I was talking about LeBron last year when he went on that run after the trade and still went to the finals. I'm reminded of Ralph Sampson wanting to go to the Lakers and Bill Phipps, the Celtics, said, I'd never trade you. Kevin Love, for some reason, was not allowed to play to his full potential with LeBron. It seemed like the powers that be didn't let that happen. Chris Paul was going to go to L.A. Something jumped out and stopped that. Now, all of a sudden, that Anthony Davis becomes available because they have a job opening in L.A. for the next Kareem. They got the magic already. They need the next Kareem, and he reminds me of Lou Alcindor and all of that. Now, all of a sudden, here come the Celtics after they already got Kyrie from him in Cleveland. And ever since Kyrie got to Boston, they kept saying we'll trade him. I think they just got him away from LeBron. That Danny Ainge know the injury report from Duke, from all them years with Kyrie. He ain't going to give Kyrie that money, just like you said he didn't give Isaiah the money. So I'm looking at all this to say, wow, why do they keep trying to block L.A. from getting that dynasty together? Why?
I don't know. I think that when you look at the Chris Paul situation, it's pretty hard to justify a deal being done where you end up getting the best player while also saving $20+ million in cap space. And I think we also forget that Commissioner Stern and the league, even though they were the de facto owners of the New Orleans Hornets at the time, because the team was being sold that they had not found a buyer, the reality is that the league sat up there and you had owners and everybody making a lot of noise. Now, David Stern ultimately decided against it on his own. It was not Dan Gilbert and the letter and all of this other stuff. That stuff came afterwards. David Stern immediately nixed it and didn't think it was a good, fair trade. So you just look at it from that perspective and go from there. It's hard to say what it would have been. Kobe with Chris Paul, that would have been something special. But it didn't happen, and we'll never know.
David should get in touch with whoever dealt with Shaq and Dwight.
Mm-hmm.
They made it to L.A. from their perspective, from the same team, really.
Maybe so. Good point. Even though Dwight doesn't compare to Shaq getting there. That's for sure. But I got to go, man. I appreciate the call. Thank you so much. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. We'll be back with your calls to close out the show in a minute. By the way, 1-800-Flowers.com. Valentine's is a no-brainer. They have the best bouquets and deals around, like the 18-stem Enchanted Rose Medley for $29.99 or double it to 36-stem. Job today at Indeed.com/hire. Chris, you're live with Stephen A. Go ahead real quick, Chris. Chris, are you there?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm here. Can you hear me?
Go ahead real quick, Chris. Go ahead.
Yes,
Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Real quick. I wanted to touch on what you said about Lonzo Ball. I think people need to – well, two things. Lonzo Ball, number one, we have to keep in mind, Stephen A., that we did not draft him to be somebody who is assertive, somebody who is aggressive. I know he should take the shots that are available, but he wasn't drafted for that. I think that the play that he does now with the service of LeBron has compromised his style of play. That's number one. And last thing I'm going to point out, Stephen A., people are going to call me crazy. That's fine. But I believe the way the Lakers are constructed now, we have a better chance to beat that team up north, which is the Warriors, than we were to do if we traded away all those assets and go get Davis from the Warriors.
So you are in support of the Lakers standing pat and not budging 1 inch.
No. I'm not saying no. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying we're better. I'm not saying we're better if we don't go get Davis. I'm not saying that. I'm saying we have a better chance to match up with the Warriors if we were to keep the way we're constructed now, because we're giving away all our versatility. And people don't realize that. Even if we go
No. I think you're wrong. I think people do realize it. I just think they believe that Anthony Davis is so great, he's worth it.
But how do we match up with them, though? Because I with Stevenson and Rondo, I don't see how we do it.
How do they? All right, that's fair. That's fair because you got to see what other parts you get because you trade away most of your team. The question is, how does anybody match up with Anthony Davis and LeBron James?
But I think the Warriors still like their chances better against.
Well, ain't nobody beat the Warriors.
James.
I don't know what squad you can assemble other than an all-star crew. I don't know what squad you can assemble that's going to knock off the Golden State Warriors. I got to run, Chris. I appreciate the call. Thank you so much. The Warriors are just phenomenal. And Steve Kerr has them playing together, and they're just going to amp it up. They just toying around with people, man. They're going to amp it up to another level when it's time. I'm telling y'all that right now. They're winning anyway right now. But with DeMarcus Cousins doing what he's doing, I mean, it ain't even fair. It ain't even fair. I'll holler at y'all in 22 hours. Until then, Stephen A. signing off. Peace and love.
Hey, what's up? It's Will Kane. Coming up right after Stephen A. Smith. Join us on The Will Kane Show, live on ESPN Radio, Sirius XM.